Session is being recorded. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will resume explaining chapter 2 in the mobile and wireless networks course, which is about wireless fundamentals. We reached this slide which is about radio frequency power. وصلنا على هذا السلايد اللي هو radio frequency power. So how to use the dB, the decibel logarithmic functions. This is the focus of this slide, how to use the dB logarithmic functions. The strength of a wave, قوة الwave, can be measured as its amplitude. So the amplitude plays a role in measuring the strength of a wave. الامبليتيود اللي هو من التوب to bottom peak بيلعب دور بقياس قوة السيجنال. So the strength of a radio frequency signal is measured in what? Is measured by its power. قوة الراديو frequency signal بتنقاس بالباور. And the unit of the power شو هي؟ in watt. So unit of the power is watt or milliwatt. When I measure the signal by its power والunit تكون watt or milliwatt, this is considered absolute power measurement. So when I measure the power of the signal in watt or milliwatt, this is called absolute power measurement. Because absolute power values can fall within a huge range. الباور لما اقيسها بالوات او ملي وات بتاخد الفاليو تبعها بتكون كتير عالية، الارقام تاعتها بتكون كتير عالية. exponential range يعني بالاكسبوننشال range from a tiny decimal number من decimal number صغير to hundreds thousands or greater values. For this reason what we will do, if the absolute power values is too much huge, we take the logarithm of these functions. بناخد log of these functions to transform exponential ranges into linear ones. I will give you an example. You can see the figure here, the curve here. Usually the power values and watt will take a huge values. So this is the curve of these values. We'll take values with a huge range, exponential يعني. So the power values and watt will be exponential. So to solve this issue, we take the logarithm of these values. We take the logarithm of these values. After taking the logarithm of these values, the new values will be in decibel watt, and it will take the form of a linear straight line. Instead of increasing exponentially, it will increase in a straight line. يعني بتخف حد التصاعد. But the unit, instead of being in power in watt, it will be in decibel, in dB. Also, if I have the power values in a form of a straight line, إذا الباور values عم بتصاعدوا بس بشكل straight line. وإن watt, if I take the log of these values, إذا أخذت the log of these values, the shape of the new values will be like this. We'll take the value of the log curve. And for sure, the unit will be in decibel. After taking the log, the unit of the power will be in decibel, not in watt. This is what he's saying here. He's saying, because absolute power values can fall anywhere within a huge range, from a tiny decimal number to hundreds or thousands or greater values. For this reason, what we will do, we will use the logarithm function. Why we use the logarithm function? ليش بستخدم logarithm function? To transform the exponential ranges into linear ones. So the decibel is a handy function that uses the logarithm to compare one absolute measurement to another. I will give you an example on this. But let us continue the sentence. It was originally developed to compare sound intensity levels. يعني الدecibel originally it was developed to compare the levels of sound intensity. But at the same time it applies directly to power levels. يعني فينا نستخدمها، فينا ناخد اللوج للباور ليفلز ونطلع الفاليو بالدي بي. هو اصلا استخدم للليفل اوف ساوند انتنسيتي ليقيس قوة الساوند، بس كمان يستخدم للباور ليفل. We can also use it for the power level. Okay, so in general any number A can be expressed in its original value all in dB. Any power P can be expressed in watt or in dB. Any power P can be expressed in watt or in dB. فينا نقيس الباور بالوات أو بالدB. طب what is the dB? Decibel. It is the relative measure between two power outputs. هو المجر relative measure between power output. I will give you example. If I have power 1 equals 10 watt and power 2 equals 10 watt, then 10 log power 1 divided by power 2. أنا عم بستخدم هذه equation to get the value in dB. I'm using this equation Y to get the value in dB. So this is the equation used to get the power value in dB. I will take the 10 log P1 divided by P2. So I'm measuring P1, عم بقيس P1 with reference to P2. بالنسبة ل P2 عم شوف قوة ال P1 بالديسيبل بالنسبة ل P2 in comparison to P2. How much P1 is 10 watt? How much P2? How does it? What does it equal? 10 watt. So this equals 10 log 1. Log 1 always equal 0. لما أقول log 1 always شو بيساوي؟ log 1 always بيساوي 0. log 1 always equals 0. So 10 log 1 equals 10 times 0 equals 0 dB. What is the meaning of 0 dB? It means that P1 equal P2. لما يطلع عند الريزلت 0 dB يعني P1 بيساوي P2. طب لنفترض let us suppose that P1 equals 10 watt and P2 equals 5 watt. When using this equation 10 log P1 divided by P2 it equals 10 log 10 divided by 5. 10 log 10 divided by 5 equals 10 log 2. 10 log 2. log 2 شو بيساوي؟ 0.3 around this 0.3. So 10 times 0.3 equal 3 dB. What does this mean? When the result is a 3 dB, this means that power 1 equals 2 times P2. power 1 قد ال P2 على مرتين. لما الريزلت تطلع 0 dB يعني P1 بيساوي ال P2 على مرتين. This is the law of 3. هذا هو law of 3. لما الريزلت تطلع 0 dB يعني P1 بيساوي P2 وهيدا law of 2. law of 0 sorry. law of 0. طب if power 1 equals 100 watt power 2 equals 10 watt يعني 10 log P1 divided by P2 equals 10 log 100 divided by 10. 10 log 100 divided by 10 equals 10 log 10. log 10 always equal 1. كيف قلنا قبل شوي log 1 always equal 0. log 1 بيساوي بصفر. log 10 always equal 1. So 10 times 1 how much does it equal? 10 dB. What does this mean? لما result تطلع عندي 10 dB يعني P1 equals 10 times P2. P1 قد P2 على مرتين وهيدا law of 10. So law of 0 says that P1 equals P2. If the result is 0 dB, then P1 equals P2. If the result equals 3 dB, then P1 equals 2 times P2. P1 قد P2 على مرتين. هذا law of 3. If the result is 10 dB, this means that P1 equals 10 P2. P1 قد P2 على 10 مرات. هذا law of 0, هذا law of 3, وهذا law of 10. Okay? So this is the meaning of decibel. A relative measure between two powers. I'm measuring the power 1 in comparison to power 2. This is dB, a relative measure. dBm similar to dB, بس الريفرنس باور بيكون 1 ملي وات. The reference power here is 1 milliwatt. To get the value in dBm instead of dB, the reference power اللي هو P2 بيكون ب1 milliwatt. And the reference power P2 equals 1 milliwatt. You know, because when these values are in watt, then the result will be in dB. And also, if these values are both in milliwatt, also the result will be in dB. إذا اثنيناتهم بالوات أو بالمليوات الريزلت حتكون بالدي طب when I get dBm, when the reference power اللي هو P2 equals 1 milliwatt. لما reference power يكون 1 milliwatt بيطلع عندي الفاليو بالdBm. Okay. What about the dBi? dBi, we mentioned earlier, this is related to the gain of antenna relative to the isotropic antenna. So I'm finding the gain of the antenna. أطلع الجين تبع الانتنة in comparison to the isotropic antenna. الايزوتروبيك antenna قلنا هو antenna وهمي منه physically منه موجود، بس هو spherical shape وهمي، وهو reference point لأنه الجين تبعه صفر. فالايزوتروبيك antenna هو spherical shape. الشيب تبعه spherical. This is the sphere. I will show you the shape of the sphere. This is the sphere. This is the sphere. And the shape تبع sphere. So the isotropic antenna is spherical shaped. It radiates in all direction uniformly. يعني هو ما عنده direction معين، هو بيعمل radiation للباور بكل الدايركشن. فمنه oriented بdirection معين. It does not have one specific direction. For this reason, the gain of this antenna, isotropic antenna, is 0 dB. So once we measure the gain of any other antenna, we measure it relative to the isotropic antenna in comparison with the isotropic antenna، بالمقارنة مع الايزوتروبيك antenna. فإذا قلت أنا إنه الانتنز تاعول الاكسس بوينت عندي بالكلاس روم الجين تبعهم 10 دي بي اي، الاي هيدي بترمز للايزوتروبيك antenna. يعني الانتنة الجين of the antenna of the access point equals 10 dB in comparison to the isotropic antenna. الجين بيساوي 10 dB بالمقارنة مع الايزوتروبيك antenna. Okay. And here's the formula that I showed you how to find the value in dB. The value in dB, AdB, equals 10 log A ratio, P1 divided by P2. P1 in watt, P2 in watt. Or P1 in milliwatt and P2 is in milliwatt. Well, when I get dBm, when the reference power P2 is in 1 milliwatt. Also, I can write this equation in another form. So, equation 1 here, I'm converting the powers in watt to dB, decibel. equation here, I'm converting the power in dB to power to watt. So this is the value in dB. If I divide it by 10 and I took 10 to the power A divided by 10, 10 to the power of this value, I will get the power in watt. So the first one is to convert from watt to dB, and the second one is to convert from dB to watt. Okay, let us take an example. In general, any number A, any power P, can be expressed in its original value in decibel and vice versa. So here the original power is 0.000031623. 0.000031623. هيدي power, this power is in milliwatt, power 1. Power 2 is in 100 milliwatt. When I take 10 log P1 divided by P2, what is the value that I will get? Minus 65 dB. So this is the value of power 1 in comparison to power 2. Okay, this is the power 1 compared to power 2 in comparison to power 2. So this is the value in dB. So here we need to mention some important properties of the logarithm rules. For sure, there are many properties for the logarithm rule, for the logarithm, which is the log. But now I will mention the most important rules that we will be using throughout this chapter. The multiplication rule. The multiplication rule, log of x times y. Here log to the base a. For sure, log can be log to the base 10, or log to the base 2, or log to the base e. In wireless communication, we will use log to the base 10. In all this chapter and other chapters, we will use log to the base 10. Log of x times y equal log of x plus log of y. Log of, for example, 6. Here 2 times 3 equal log of 2 plus log of 3. طب division rule. Log of x divided by y equal log of x minus log of y. Log of 6 divided by 3 equal log of 6 minus log of 3. This is the division rule. So for multiplication, log of x and y equal log of x plus log of y. For division, log of x divided by y, it equals log of x minus log of y. And for the exponentiation rule, this is very important. Log of x power n equal n log of x. For example, log, I will give you an example. Log of 100 equal log of 10 power 2. Log of 100 equals log to the 10 power 2 equal 2 log 10 equals 2 log 10. Why 2 log 10? Because the rule says log of x power n equals n log of x. So log of x power 2, log of 10 power 2 equal to log 10. ولوج 10 قد ايه بيساوي how much does it equal 1. log of 10 equal 1. So this will equal 2. I will give you another example. Log of 1000 equals log of 10 power 3. Log of 10 power 3. Log of 10 power 3, how much does it equal? 3 log of 10. Log of x power n equal n log of x. Log of 10 power 3 equals 3 log 10 equal 3. Why? Because log of 10 equals 3. Okay. Also, when we need to convert from log to exponential, y equal log of x, this means x equals 10 to the power y. When I say y equal log of x, automatically this means x equal 10 power y. So this is the derivation of the rule that we have mentioned before. A equals 10 log A ratio, A in dB equals 10 log A ratio, which is the ratio of 2 powers and watt, which means A in dB divided by 10 equals log of A ratio, which means that 10 power A in dB divided by 10 equals A ratio. Because y equals log x, this means that x equals 10 power y. Y equals log x means that x equals 10 power y. Y equals, this is y. Y equal log x. What does it mean? X equal 10 power y. 10 power y. This is the rule here. So you can use it directly. Tab. Use of dB logarithm functions. In general, any number a in wireless communication, any power p can be expressed in its original value in watt or in decibel and vice versa. Any power p can be expressed in watt or in decibel, and I can convert from watt to decibel and from decibel to watt. فيني أحول من الوات للديسيبل ومن الديسيبل للوات. What is the decibel? It is the relative measure between two power. So if P2 divided by P1 equal 2, يعني P2 قد P1 على مرتين، يعني which means P2 equal 2 times P1. Okay? Then P1 divided by P2 in dB equals 10 log 2 equal 3 dB. Here there is a little mistake. Here this is P2, P1 divided by P2. Okay? P1 divided by P2. So if P1 divided by P2 equal 2, then P1 divided by P2 in dB equal 10 log 2, which is P1 divided by P2. Yeah, P1 divided by P2. Log 2, how much? Approximately it is 0.3. So 10 log 2 equal 3. From the power of 3, from the law of 3, directly, once you see P1 equal P1 divided by P2 equal 2, directly you conclude that the result in dB is 3. And the opposite, when you see the result in dB is 3, this means that P1 equal to P2. P1 equals double P2. Or in other words, P1 divided by P2 equals 2. This means that P1 equal to P2. So if the ratio equals 2, then the result in dB is 3 dB. And vice versa. If the result is 3 dB, then the ratio equals 2. Now, dBm. In dBm, it is similar to dB, but here the reference power is dBm. Okay? If P1 equals 100 milliwatt, 100 milliwatt, and the P2 equals 1 watt, 1 milliwatt. P2, how much it equals? 1 milliwatt. Then P1 in dBm equals 10 log 100. And the reference power 1 milliwatt. ما بحاجة أحطها حتى. So P1 in dBm equals 10 log 100. Log 100 how much? Log 100, we saw it before. Log 100 is log 10 over 2. It equals to log 10. It equals to 10 log 100 equal 10 times 2. إذا log 100 بتساوي 2 يعني 10 log 100 equal 10 times 2 equals 20 dBm, because the reference power is 1 milliwatt. So this is for dBm. For dBi, if the gain of an antenna relative to an isotropic antenna is 4, gain equal 4. Okay, but I need to measure it in dBi. I need to measure it in dBi. Also, I will take the log. 10 log 4. 10 log 4, how much does it equal? 6 dBi. I means with reference to the isotropic antenna. So these are the 3 laws. Law of 0, law of 3, and law of 10. Law of 0, it means that the two absolute power values are equal. If the two power values are equal, the ratio inside the logarithm is 1, and the 10 log 1 equals 0. This law is intuitive, بديهي. If two power levels are the same, one is 0 dB greater than the other. يعني power 1 0 dB أعلى من power 2. يعني power 1 بيساوي power 2. Which means power 1 equals power 2. A value of 3 dB means that the power value is double the reference power. The power value of interest يعني P1 is double the reference power اللي هو P2. طب if the value is minus 3 dB, this means that power 1 is half P2. power 1 بيساوي نص P2. إذا الفاليو 3 dB يعني power 1 بيساوي 2 P2. إذا الفاليو minus 3 dB يعني power 1 بيساوي نص P2. So 1 P2 here he took P2 with reference to P1. Let me put it as an example. Let me put example. Okay. Here he made P2 is the power and interest, و P1 هو الريفرنس باور عكسهم. Okay. So if P2 equal 10 watt و P1 equal 5 milliwatt, how much is the ratio in dB? 10 log 10 divided by 2. For sure, this log to the base 10. And this is 5. I will make it as a ratio. Insert equation, ratio 10, and this is 5. Okay. This equals 10 log 10 of 2. tan log 10 of 2 equal 3 dB, because P2 is double P1. Okay, P2 is double P1. This is 10 log P2 divided by P1. 10 log P2 divided by P1. So 10 log P2 divided by P1 equal 10 log 10 divided by 5 equal 10 log 2 equal 3 dB. 3 dB يعني P2 بيساوي ضعف P1. طب إذا الفاليو minus 3 dB 10 log P1 divided P2 for example، أو خليني أعكس هون، P2 بيساوي 5 واط و P1 بيساوي 10 واط 10 واط. أوكي، P2 equals 5 watt و P1 equals 10 watt. So 10 log P2 divided by P1 equal 10 log 5 divided by 10, which equals 10 log half. log half شو بيساوي؟ 10 minus log 2. log 2 equal 10 times minus 0.3 equal minus 3 dB. Okay. For you, you can use the calculator to find the log. But I will tell you, when you find the result minus 3 dB, this means that P2 equals half P1. P2 equals 5, P1 equals 10. Okay? When you find the result at 3 dB, which means P2 is double P1. P2 equal 10 and P1 equal 5. This is what he's saying here. Law of 3. A value of 3 dB means that the power of interest, P2 here, is double the reference power P1. 3 dB يعني P2 twice P1. Ratio بيكون 2. If the value is minus 3 dB, which means P2 is half P1, ratio بيكون نص. So I will repeat, power of 0, this means that P1 equal P2. Power of 3 dB, this means that the power in interest, P2, is double the reference power, P1. If the value is minus 3 dB, this means the power P2 is half P1. Law of 10, what does it say? A value of 10 dB means that the power value of interest is 10 times the reference value. And P2 equals 10 times P1. P2 equals 10 P1. طب إذا الفاليو ناقص 10 دي بي يعني P2 is smaller from P1 by 10 times. P2 equal 1 over 10 P1. P2 بيساوي P1 over 10. P2 equals P1 divided by 10 if the value is minus 10 dB. So if the value is minus 10 dB, this means that P2 is 1 over 10 compared to P1. So P2 equal 1 و P1 شو بيساوي 10 10. P2 over P1 equal 1 over 10. The value بيطلع minus 10 dB. Minus 10 dB. If the value 10 dB, this means that P2 over P1 equal 10 over 1. P2 is 10 times P1. So this is the summary. When absolute power values multiply, the dB value is positive and can be added. When the power values divide, the dB value is negative and can be subtracted. Here's the summary. When the powers are equal, P1 equal P2, the value in dB is 0. لما الباور power 2 equals 2p1 if the power is doubled بيكون الفاليو بالدي بي plus 3 dB. If the power is divided by 2 the power in dB is minus 3 dB. If the power is multiplied by 10 بزيد 10 بالدي بي. If the power is divided by 10 بنقص 10 بالدي بي. هرجع عيد. If the powers are equal the value on dB is 0. If the power is multiplied by 2 is الباور انضربت ب2 so we add 3 in dB. If the power is divided by 2 then we subtract 3 in dB. If the power is multiplied by 10 then we add 10 in dB. If the power is divided by 10 we subtract 10 in dB. So let us take an example. Here I have two powers, two transmitter or transmitter and receiver. Let us say these are two sources, source D and source E. Source D, how much is the value of source D? 5 milliwatt. How much is the value of source E? 200 milliwatt. How much is the value in dB? If I need to take the value of, if I need to take the ratio between E and D, ratio between E and D, how much E is greater than D in dB? إذا بدي أقسمهم مع بعض 200 قسمة 5 200 divided by 5 it will be 40. Okay, but I don't need it like this. I need in dB how much E, how much source E is higher than source D in dB, in decibel. How do I get it? I will not multiply by 40. رح اجي اكتب 5 times 40. Although 5 times 40 equal 200, but this is not what I need. Here 40, it constitutes of 2. 40 عبارة عن 2 times 2 times 10. Instead of writing 40, I will write it in 2 times 2 times 1. I will write it in this form, 2 times 2 times 1. Why? Because I need to use the law of 3 and law of 10. The law of 3 says if the power is doubled, I will add the 3 in dB. If the power is doubled times 2, I will add 3 in dB. This is what we said here. If the power is doubled, we will add 3 in dB. If the power is doubled, we will add 3 in dB. And if the power is increased 10 times, we will add 10 in dB. If the power is increased 10 times, we will add 10 in dB. So instead of multiplying by 40 to know the difference between source D and E, I will multiply by 2 times 2 times 10. This is a milliwatt. In dB, this is converted to D plus 3 plus 3 plus 10. 3 plus 3 plus 10 equals 16 dB. So source E equals source D plus 16 dB. In milliwatt, we said source E equals source D times 40. Times 40. This is a milliwatt. In dB, we say source E equals source D plus 16 dB. So source E is higher than source D by 16 dB. Let us take an example. How the power changes along signal path. Here, I need to measure the EIRP. What is the EIRP? What is the EIRP? Who knows? It is the effective isotropic radiated power. So when the signal moves from the transmitter to the receiver، لما السيجنال تنتقل من transmitter إلى receiver، I need to consider the gains and losses. شو هن الجينز وشو هن اللوسز؟ Here the gains are the transmitter antenna gain and the receiver antenna gain. And the original power. These are gains for me. It will add. So what about the losses? Losses are I have free space loss لما السيجنال تمرق بالchannel when the signal passes in the channel between the transmitter and the receiver, and I have losses in the transmission cable, and I have losses in the receiver cable. إذا هن بالgreen gains، إذا هن بالأحمر losses. Okay? Those in green are gains, and those in red are losses. So, how much is the power in transmitter? 100 milliwatt. I need to calculate the EIRP. The EIRP, شو هو ال EIRP? Effective isotropic radiated power. This part is only related to the transmitter. هذا البارت فقط له علاقة بالترانسميتر. I will calculate the gains and losses for the transmitter part only. Effective isotropic radiated power. The power اللي هي radiated من الانتنة. And this is related to transmitter only. But when I calculate the received signal strength indicator, how much is the power of the received signal at the receiver, how much is the strength of the received signal at the receiver, I calculate it for all the system. So the EIRP is used to calculate the gains and losses at the transmitter side, and the received signal strength I use it to calculate the whole gains and losses in the system from the transmitter to receiver. Okay, so let us calculate both. The received signal equals transmitter power, this one, minus transmission cable. This I will put it in red. Transmission cable loss plus the transmitter antenna gain. This part is the EIRP اللي هو له علاقة بالترانسميتر. Effective isotropic radiated power. The power that is radiated by the antenna. الباور اللي عم بنعمل له radiation by the antenna. This is related to transmitter. Effective isotropic radiated power. بس السيجنال بعد ما انتقلت. Okay, let us continue. Minus a free space loss. This is loss. Plus receiver antenna gain minus receiver cable loss. Then after that, I will find the value of the received signal strength. If I calculated all this, I will get the received power level. Received signal strength identifier RSSI, RSSI, received signal strength indicator, or the received signal power. The received signal power, because the received signal power is for whole the system. So I have two things to calculate: the EIRP, which is the transmitter power, minus losses in cable plus antenna gain, and the received signal strength, which equals the EIRP minus the free space plus antenna gain minus cable losses. Okay, so the effective isotropic radiated power, it is the actual power level that will be radiated from the transmitter antenna. It's the actual power level that will be radiated from the transmitter antenna, which equals the transmitter power minus the cable losses plus transmitter antenna. A transmitter, its antenna and the cable. A transmitter power is expressed in milliwatt usually, or in watt. When an antenna is connected to the transmitter, it provides some amount of gain. الانتنة عنده gain. Every antenna has a gain, except the isotropic antenna, its gain is 0. It has a gain but 0 to the resulting RF signal. An antenna's gain is measured by comparing its performance with the reference antenna اللي هو الايزوتروبيك antenna, then computing a value in dB. قديش الجين تبع الايزوتروبيك antenna الريفرنس antenna 0 dB. So an isotropic antenna does not actually exist, but it is ideal in every way. It is theoretical. هو الريفرنس antenna لأنه الدي تبعه 0 because it is spherical and it radiates power in all directions. It does not radiate power in a specific direction to have a gain. So some signal loss occurs due to the physical quality of the cable. For this reason, we calculate the cable losses, because some signal loss occurs due to the physical quality of the cable that connects the transmitter to the antenna. Cable vendors supply the loss values in dB. الكيبل vendors البائعين اللي حيعطوك الكيبل بقول لك قد اللوس تبع الكيبل بالدبي بالديسيبل per foot or meter of a cable length. يعني إذا طوله 10 متر بيكون اللوس تبعه هالقد، إذا طوله 20 متر بيكون اللوس تبعه هالقد. For each type of cable manufactured. The effective isotropic radiated power, EIRP, is the actual power level that will be radiated from the antenna. It is measured in dBm, calculated in function of transmitter power level, loss due to cable, and antenna gain. So let us take an example. If the transmitter power level هو 10 dBm, okay? Transmitter power level is 10 dBm. A cable loss is 5 dB. With antenna gain 8 dB, dBi. فده transmitter power 10 dBm. The cable loss minus 5 dB. والانتنا gain 10 dBi. ده بيساوي EIRP 10 dBm minus 5 dB plus 8 dBi equal 13 dBm. 10 minus 5 plus 8 13 dBm. Okay, I will stop the lecture here. We will continue in next lecture inshallah. If you have any question, do not hesitate to send me email. Drop me an email please. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.